Hey guys, LevelCap here. I hope you're having a good Sunday. Today, I thought I would do a bit of a channel update. There's been a bunch of changes going on with me, with YouTube, with other platforms recently, and I'm going to be taking a little bit of a new direction with some things in the near future. And I also thought I would take this opportunity to answer a bunch of questions I keep seeing pop up in the comments section. Now, first things first, a big new direction that I'm taking is Twitch streaming regularly. At the moment, I have it set up so that I'm going to be streaming on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific time. So that's 4 hours a day, 3 days a week. I've really been enjoying it so far. I've done it for 3 weeks in a row now. Many of you guys are following me on Twitch, but if you're not already, pop on over to the channel. There's a link in the video description. To be honest, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about actually streaming, but it's been really nice being able to interact with the community in real time rather than just sort of reading over the comment section on YouTube and occasionally responding to a question here or there. It's been really nice to be able to just directly interact and talk to people, even give in-game tutorials when people ask me like what my flying controls are and stuff like that. It's just been a fun experience and I've really enjoyed it, and I actually look forward to it every week now. Now, I had been planning on moving over to Twitch for a while, but something that really lit a fire under my butt and got me on the platform immediately was the recent YouTube ADpocalypse. If you guys aren't familiar with the ADpocalypse, basically there was some bad press that came out about some ads running on racist YouTube videos, and a huge amount of advertisers pulled their funding from YouTube and the Google AdSense platform, and YouTube had to scramble to try and get these advertisers back. They implemented a new algorithm system that basically was diverting ads to PC or family-friendly videos and away from non-family-friendly videos. The problem with this is that they implemented it pretty hastily, and some channels just got all their ad funding cut or a huge chunk of it. Unfortunately, I dropped into this category of one of those channels severely affected, and I lost about 60% of my ad revenue. It has not come back yet, and I've been operating YouTube at a loss basically for the past couple months because my channel is incorporated. I pay myself as an employee of my company, and most of the money I make on YouTube actually goes back into building other projects like my Brick Vault channel, which we were planning on expanding to a much bigger location in the near future, but we had to put off all those plans when the YouTube ADpocalypse hit because losing 60% revenue overnight again really is going to throw a wrench in your gears of whatever you're working on. So it has been incredibly stressful for me. I've had to think about really scaling back a lot of the other projects I'm working on or even letting people go. Fortunately, I don't think I'm going to have to do that. YouTube has assured me that they are working on a fix to this algorithm and that my channel should not be getting demonetized the way that it is. It's just a matter of time. I gotta wait it out. It's a shitty situation. I certainly don't like being in it. I certainly don't like being on in an area where I just don't know exactly what's gonna happen or how long it's gonna take to happen. It's not fun. It's certainly not fun. Luckily, Twitch has been a lot of fun for me, so I've been enjoying that and I don't have to think about YouTube quite so much. It's also been nice as I've been able to post some of that live gameplay content in video form on YouTube, and you guys have really been enjoying it. Ultimately, if things don't get better on YouTube, I might have to start seeking more ad contracts and stuff like that. More like this video is sponsored by ... at the start of my videos in a way to try and supplement the income that basically is not there anymore. So I don't want to do that to you guys. I certainly don't want you guys to have to watch more ads in order to watch my content, but it might be something inevitable down the road if YouTube doesn't get their stuff together. Anyway, I kind of want to wrap up the whole talking about YouTube money stuff for now, especially since I know all those "get a real job, bro" comments are about to come flooding in, and my response to that is no thanks. I spent most of my life working real jobs. This is much better. Now, I'd like to shift gears and talk a little bit about some of the stuff the Battlefield community has been talking about recently. We did see the new DLC trailer, In the Name of the Tsar, debut at E3, and that looked very cool. People are pretty upset that it's not coming out till September. They're saying the distance or the time between DLCs is way too long. People are losing interest in the game, and that Battlefield 1 is dying. Well, there's no doubt about it, Battlefield 1 has been losing player base ever since it came out, but so has pretty much every other Battlefield game in history. Sadly, Battlefield 1 has sold more copies and is now losing players at what seems to be a faster rate than any of the previous games. It just doesn't quite have the staying power of some of the previous Battlefield games, and that reason could be argued in many different directions. Personally, I think it has a lot to do with the progression system and some of the gunplay, two things that were changed up pretty drastically from the last few titles, and fans of the franchise were probably expecting those things to get better, and when they got worse, people were like, oh, maybe I'll just go back and play Battlefield 4. Or especially on the PC community base, which has been dropping off in Battlefield 1 faster than the other contingents, they have plenty of other shooters to check out these days. And in fact, as we saw at E3 this year, there's so many first-person shooters coming out, so much shooter content coming out there, that these big AAA titles like Battlefield and Call of Duty are really going to have to start competing in a big way with some of the indie titles out there. That being said, the devs have stayed true to their monthly update platform for the game, and they've made a lot of good changes to it so far. Many good balance changes. The most significant one to me was the grenade spam patch that's made infantry fighting so much more fun, so much more enjoyable to me. Far less reliant on the grenade spam aspect. Although that is still an element in the game, it's less obnoxious than it used to be. There's still plenty of other issues in the game, but I think if you haven't played Battlefield 1 since it launched, and if you hopped back on now, you might find certain game modes a bit more enjoyable. There have been a lot of changes from launch until now. They've just been very slow moving, unfortunately. A lot of the changes are just simple, like data entry changes, like balancing weapons, grenades, tanks, airplanes, that kind of stuff. Just changing figures. I don't know why it's taken so long since launch to make some of these basic balance changes, especially when they're things that the community had been complaining about since like the game's alpha. Fortunately, there's been enough changes that I'm enjoying Battlefield 1 a bit more recently. I mean, there's certainly game modes and certain maps that I just avoid like the plague, but for the most part, I can get into a game and have a good amount of fun with it as long as I'm not focusing on like one specific weapon that I don't enjoy or something along those lines. So I have actually personally been enjoying Battlefield 1 a bit more recently, and if In the Name of the Tsar really does add on to the progression system in a significant way, that's going to be really good because the progression system means a lot to me. I like having all those weapon masteries and specific unlocks and cool things to work for. So if they add that into the game, that's really going to add a lot more longevity for people like me. Now, from having talked to a bunch of developers and sort of understanding some of the internal decisions and struggles being made within the team itself, it seems pretty clear to me that Battlefield 1 is the last of its kind, at least with the DLC model. Now, we've already seen that Star Wars Battlefront 2 is bringing a completely free DLC model to the game. They're following in the footsteps of games like Rainbow Six Siege, and I think a lot of the other AAA shooters are going to start following the same DLC formula. Battlefield 1 is a dinosaur. It's going to be the last game, I believe, with premium. This isn't factual information or news. This is just what I truly believe and sort of some of the internal rumblings that I've heard from developers and whatnot, that we're probably not going to see premium in the next Battlefield game. That being said, DICE is still trying to push premium extremely hard with Battlefield 1 because it is their only after-launch monetization platform. They have to push it. It's the only way they can make money with the game after people have already bought the base game. And so instead of all these free maps coming out for everybody in the community, which there's been like one map so far that's been free for everyone, now they're going to be tied into the DLC, which is going to be behind that premium paywall. So they're really trying to push premium. It sucks because it means not that many people are going to play these new free DLC maps, and that it's going to be a much smaller player base locked behind the premium paywall. So it's not good for anyone. People who buy premium have less people to play with. People in the vanilla game don't get any free content. So hopefully this will be the last game of its kind in doing this sort of DLC model. It's really unfortunate because I believe Battlefield 1 could have a much stronger and many more players playing it right now if they just didn't have this premium DLC model. I think players are kind of tired of it. We've been saying so for years. These ideas have been in circulation for a very long time, and EA really is one of the slowest companies to try and adopt these sort of new pay model policies. They really want to make sure it works before switching over some of their biggest franchises. I think In the Name of the Tsar is going to be sort of a big pivoting point for Battlefield 1. Either it's going to be a great DLC that adds a lot of progression, or it's going to die off faster than any of the other previous DLCs. And at that point, especially in September, is when a lot of other really big shooter games are coming out, and we could see a very big shift in the general Battlefield player base. So I'm very curious to see what happens with Battlefield 1 in September with that new DLC coming out. It could really lose out to a lot of the other competing shooters, especially in the PC market where we're getting a lot of exciting titles. Anyway, that kind of wraps it up for this video, covering what's going on with my channel and what's kind of going on with the Battlefield 1 franchise, as plenty of people are asking about it in the comments. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my Twitch channel, again, linked in the video description. Give me a follow, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you guys next time. This is LevelCap, signing off.